Yeah, I'm also curious on your thought of like, whenever we're talking about Braintree or Venmo, which are really the large growth factors for PayPal, at least in my opinion, they don't quite take the same take rate as branded checkout of PayPal. So what do you think about the margin compression at PayPal? Like whenever more people are just using Venmo in Braintree and then they sort of get a lesser payment from those. Like, is
Yeah,
that a concern for you?
it's not. I understand some people look at it like that. The bottom line is, I like growth. I want growth in top line. I want growth in bottom line. If margins have to take a little bit of a hit uh, to put up that growth, because maybe more transactions are coming in one way or another, that's fine. Um, and I think PayPal has very tough products to compete with when we're speaking about those products there. I think that because the take rate's so low, I think that's really tough competition.
Yeah.
And you know what else is interesting? You spoke a little bit about the government. From what I'm hearing a little bit, at least in the US, is some politicians are not too happy with the amount of money companies like Visa and MasterCard are kind of making off all the little microtransactions going
Yeah.
through. So there could be some sort of compression for those companies over time. We'll see what happens there. But if I look at kind of what Venmo's doing, Braintree, man, it's hard to see those guys having to get hit at all because of how low kind of the take is there. So
Well,
my opinion is I just want to see revenue and bottom line be there. Margins, if they go up or down or whatever, it's not as important to me as long as the bottom line is going up over the next, several years and quite considerably.
yeah, and like, and also it's not just a one-sided transaction play here either. They also deal with 35 plus million merchants, so they're kind of what they're trying to do is have like this closed loop system where Braintree is working with the companies, allowing them to set up these businesses or payment complete or PayPal's complete payments, set up all these businesses on the merchant side, and then as payment options, they can place PayPal and Venmo as some of the highest options, which obviously have the highest chosen like selection from the user. So
Yep.
like I remember reading this article. I wish I had it in front of me. I wish I thought about this, but it was talking about the percentages in which people select their payment option depending on just how high they are. Like the payment hierarchy of whichever one is first, like it's something like 77% of people choose that one.
Yeah.
So whenever you own all the merchants and you own those things, you can select your own payment processor to be that payout solution.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And it was interesting because I believe the gentleman you were speaking of that you want to take over the company as CEO, if I recall, he was on the management meeting that was on back in June, and
Correct.
he was talking about the product innovation and whatnot. And something interesting he was talking about is like when you choose PayPal, like it can automatically import all kind of your information just very easily, regardless of kind of what website you're on and those sorts of things. And actually, I experienced this on. I bought a pair of shoes on Foot Locker about 2 weeks ago, and it had options. And usually I just pay with credit card, but I didn't even have my credit card with me at the time. And I was like, I go to the room, my wife's sleeping, and then it had an option for PayPal, and I was like, oh, easy. I hit the PayPal button or whatever. It automatically had all my data in there, did the Face ID real quick, boom. And it was like that. And I'm like, oh man, that was easy. And that's just a thing of beauty. And that, convenience is massive at the
Yeah.
end of the day when it comes to running transactions. The more convenient you are, the more money you're going to make as a retailer. Amazon knows this. Amazon's made it so easy for people to, if you got Amazon app, you got Amazon Prime, you can order something in 5-10 seconds and boom, and then it's at your door within 48 hours, if not 24 hours now. That's magical, right?
Yeah.
And so PayPal is just able to help all these other retailers, and most transactions aren't done through Amazon, right? So, but they don't have any sort of like payment system, and so it's just so great that PayPal's there to kind of be that middleman that can just make it happen, and it's just a seamless experience, and people are just happy with it. So,
Well, let's stay on Amazon for a quick second. They have been so choosy about which payment processors that they will allow on Amazon. Extremely defensive with what they'll allow on that platform. Like from what I know, they don't even allow PayPal, but they allow Venmo, right?
yeah,
And that was a huge play for the stock whenever Venmo was actually allowed to shop on Amazon, and it's part of the actual transaction rate. I think they Venmo takes like less than 2%. It's extremely competitive.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason why I just wanted to add to the transaction margin take rate is that the reason why it's going down is not because any of any of PayPal's businesses are going down. It's just that Venmo is outgrowing the branded checkout so much and has a
Yep.
lower take rate that it's dragging the whole business down. But it's in
Yep.
terms of total payment volume, it's just going up.
Yep.
you
E-
know?
Exactly. And that Wall Street obsesses way too much about just margins, in my opinion. And I think it also some of it's algorithm based trading where it looks at like, oh, this margin went down, it's bad, sell the
Sure.
stock. At the end of the day, is PayPal's net income going up considerably over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years? As long
Yeah.
as it is, like the company is going to command a bigger and bigger valuation, regardless of if some margin came from more the Venmo side and Braintree side or more the PayPal side. At the end of the day, watch the net income over the next few years. If that baby's going to go up, the stock price is going up. It's not a complicated game. So, short term, they freak out over all this stuff. And then, long term, you can kind of view it the way you view it.
So let me, because I'd love to ask you a question about this while we're still on PayPal. Because this is obviously one of the big things that they're working on is buy now, pay later. I wonder if I can get it. Anyway, regardless, over 32 million users have signed up for PayPal's buy now, pay later. This is only in the 7 core countries that they're currently servicing out of the 200 plus markets that they're actually able to go after. Like I said, I'm in Canada. I don't think of myself as a small market, but we don't even have buy now, pay later for PayPal. A lot of PayPal services we don't have up here, like even the PayPal debit card and stuff. We don't have that up here. There's so
Yeah,
much room to grow.
100%. Yeah, no, that's a great point. And it's interesting with buy now, pay later because when it first started, you started to hear a lot about it. Probably about 2 years ago, I feel like it really started to show up on the scene. People started talking more about it in the finance related community, the stock market community, and whatnot. And what is this? And at first, it's kind of seen as scary. It's like, oh gosh, people are doing buy now, pay later. Oh, this is going to be a disaster. I wonder what people thought when credit cards first started, right?
Sure.
And it was like, wow, when credit cards first started taking off many, many decades ago now at this point in time, right? I'm sure they probably thought the same thing we think about buy now, pay later. It's like, oh my gosh, that's a huge risk. Are people actually going to pay back the money? Because when credit cards first came around, I'm sure people were like, wait, you're going to invest, or you're not going to invest. You're going to buy something with money you don't even have, or that you're not paying for it right there with cash. Like that's crazy. And I'm sure that's, the way they thought back then. I'm sure, that's obviously the way a lot of folks think now. But at the end of the day, is buy now, later massively bigger in 10, 20 years from now than it is today? Probably. And I know they were speaking about some of the innovation they're doing on that buy now, pay later side,
Yeah.
such as, making it so you know what you can basically buy for on buy now, pay later
Yeah.
before you go to make the transaction, which is important because we all know our credit card limits, or should know your credit card limit, right? Maybe you have $1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever. It would be nice if going in like, oh, I could do this much on buy now, pay later,
Right.
$500, 1,000, or whatever the number is.
Yeah. No, exactly. And like even what they showed off in this slide in this presentation, even though Afterpay, Klarna, Affirm were some of the original players, now that people actually have access to those things, the majority of people, the high majority, prefer to use PayPal, right? And like I don't know if you look at or if you like
Hold on.
NPS
Can you
scores.
scroll down for just a moment, back down to that last slide real quick here before we
This one?
go on? Yeah, we had an even higher share at 50% of the $125,000 income cohort. That's I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Go ahead.
No, seriously. I mean, if you add up the what do you call it? The percentages for Afterpay, Klarna, and Affirm, it's also 43%. So if you take the next 3 highest, it equals what PayPal offers in terms of the percentage of which they're, people will actually choose them. And then not only that, like you said, the higher cohorts are even higher. But think about that. Like
Yeah.
these large payment processors or payment providers can offer a 0% APY buy now, pay later. I remember using buy now, pay later through Amazon one time. I think it was through Affirm. And one of the parts that I hated is that the receipt that I got said that I purchased, this laptop or whatever, just in one big lump sum, and then they would randomly take money out of my account over the long term, right? Now with
Mm,
PayPal, and I don't think that they've innovated on this, but it's the new standard with buy now pay later, are these smart receipts where it tells you, no, you paid this at this time and this will be
mm,
the full payout, right? It'll let
okay.
you know, you get the push notifications to your phone. And they can offer a way better rate than Affirm because they're literally the payment providers. So like how do you compete with that if you're the original Afterpays or Affirms or anything like this?
That's
Like,
true. And if I recall, by the way, Afterpay, they did get acquired by Block a while back,
yeah.
right? Okay. Yeah, and by the way, Affirm, I think, is a buyout candidate over time. I don't know who buy. I don't know if it's like a Chase buys them out, or maybe it's an Amazon, or I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But that company, I just look at it, and I'm like, it feels like a a buyout at some point in time because
Well,
I think they're not going to have the major scale that you really need to kind of become a big giant company by themselves. That's my opinion. So
you know what's funny? What I like to think about whenever I think about a firm competing with PayPal. If you remember, the CEO of a firm is Max Levchin. Does that name ring a bell?
no.
He founded PayPal.
Oh,
Max,
he was one of the founders.
he was the original founder. He brought on
Really?
Elon Musk and he brought on David Sachs and he brought on all these people. He was the original person. Yeah,
Wow.
they
Yeah, 'cause
they they were in the same building as X.com whenever X.com was competing, and then they merged
yeah.
two companies together, and that created the PayPal Mafia.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, over time they just call it the PayPal Mafia, and so you just think of it as multiple guys. You don't think about it as like one guy. You think
Yeah.
about it as Elon and the whole squad and what that built into over time. Wow, that's incredible.
So it's funny to know that they're competing now, and it's like you're fighting your own your own masterpiece that you created so long ago.
Wow,
You know?
that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's epic.